imagine this. You're living in New Zealand with your family, just going about your everyday life, and then one day someone knocks on the door and says, oh, by the way, you've won 15 million. What would you do?
Because she said, I'm sorry. She said, if you won however many million, she said, it wouldn't make you happy. If I won 15 million or whatever on the lottery now, of course I'm going to be.
In this week's episode, we're going to dive into the New Zealand Lotto and find out just what people do when they win that amount of money and how, if any, it changes their life.
It's a Drama, coming to you from Taranaki, New Zealand.
Hello.
Daddy, I love him!
Mother thanks you.
Right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello and welcome to the It's a Drama podcast. I'm Liz.
And I'm Brian on Midwinter's Day.
We bring you this podcast on the 21st of June. We're recording this, Midwinter's Day in New Zealand.
Yeah, this is our third take because Liz keeps saying Midsummer's.
I just had it in my head. It was like Midsummer's. We moved from the UK to New Zealand 14 years ago. We're Liz and Brian, husband and wife, and we just make podcasts about life in New Zealand, about travelling the world, about starting businesses, about just life, really, you know, just life.
Just getting through life. That's it.
I think more than getting through.
Well, no, getting through
sounds
is your journey.
Tough,
well, sometimes it is, doesn't it?
Sounds like you're being dragged through life.
Yeah,
like, you know?
like backwards.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Oh, so how are you? We've missed you. And this morning when we woke up and we saw the weather and it was like, you're going to think that Taranaki is like this every day, because every day when we record, it's just gorgeous.
It is. There's a bit of grey at the back there, but it's just blue all around everywhere. So, yeah. And last time we saw you, it was night time.
Yeah, it was. That was the last podcast
and champagne, wasn't
did.
it? Yeah.
So we hope you've been well. Thanks so much for joining us this week. And we're going to be talking to you. A couple of things, actually, have happened this week. One, well, we want to obviously talk about Midwinter, Midwinter's Day and the way that people celebrate it over here in New Zealand, because there's some nice stuff going on. But a couple of things are a little bit weird, aren't they, Brian?
Well, yeah, it tends to be the people from originally the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah,
we
wanted to talk to you about that. About Matariki as well, although Matariki isn't until the 14th of July this year. They've put a public holiday out. And guess what else is happening on the 14th of July this year?
Yeah, Bastille Day.
What else, Brian? Tell them. Tell them what New Zealand's done.
My big 6-0.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Brian's 60th birthday.
60
and
years
New
old,
Zealand have decided, they're using Matariki as an excuse, but really we know that it's because of Brian's 60th.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just looked on the internet and went, oh, look, there he is, look.
Yeah.
We'll give him a day off.
So feel free if you want to send me some pipe and slippers, because it's getting to that time in life when you get the pipe and slippers out.
You don't look 60, Brian.
I do. I look at least 61.
So we just thought we'd talk about, just midwinter, and also when we were down the cafe, I'll tell you about this later, but it's about the lotto. But I think there's some good stuff there, Brian.
Yeah. Do you do the lotto, Liz?
I don't, Brian, do you?
No, I don't, Liz.
Have you ever done the lotto,
I have
Brian?
done the lotto a few times, Liz.
So first of all, let me just explain to you what Matariki is, because this is the fact that last year New Zealand said, right, from now on, we are making a national holiday every year to celebrate Matariki.
Good on New Zealand for doing something like this, because, there's a lot of, a lot of tradition goes back to this.
Yes. So I'm going to read you a little bit about what Matariki is. Please, for the Māori people who are watching this, I'm trying my hardest.
We're giving it a go.
We're giving it a go here. We're trying our hardest to pronounce these words, and I hope I do it justice. But Matariki is the Māori name for the cluster of stars that rises in midwinter. For many, Matariki heralds the start of a new year. So for the Māori, it's the start of a new year. Yeah,
a bit like the Chinese New Year's in February time, isn't it?
Yeah. So Matariki, which means the eyes of the god, and the god is the god of wind, and his name is Tawhiri Matia. I hope I've pronounced that right. So according to Māori tradition, the god of the wind, Tawhiri Matia, was so angry when his siblings separated their parents, and his parents were Ranganui, the Sky Father, and Papatunuku, the Earth Mother, that he tore out his eyes and he threw them into the heavens. And that is the cluster of stars, the Matariki cluster of stars. So that's why it's called the eyes of the god. And
Wow.
Traditionally, Matariki was a time to acknowledge the dead and to release their spirits to become stars, which is just lovely, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
I
a
love
lovely
things like that.
tradition, so
Yeah.
do I. It's also time to reflect, to be thankful to the gods for the harvest, to feast. That's not always a good excuse.
Always a good idea to have
always
a bit of
nice.
food.
And to share the bounty of the harvest with family and friends,
Yeah.
which is just beautiful. It really
is.
is beautiful, isn't it? So these little stars that you see at this time of year, that is what the Matariki celebration is all about. Like I say, I hope I did that justice. I'm sorry if I pronounced the words wrong, but I gave it my best shot anyway. So while this is happening in New Zealand, obviously people who have moved over to New Zealand, like the likes of us, and we've never done this, and I don't know why we've never done it, but
Do you know what? It goes through your head to do it.
It does,
Because
yeah.
you just think, because, just the other night you're sitting there in front of the fire, the wood burner's on, and you're just thinking, it's dark at 6 o'clock, and that just, because 40 years or 48 years I lived in the UK, or whatever it was, 46 years, you just think, right, Christmas tree should be up, or
Yeah.
it should be Christmas time because it's dark and it's the shortest day of the year and all those sort of things.
So that's what I was going to say. So people, it's mainly the British and, the Northern Hemisphere people.
Northern
I think
Hemisphere,
Americans do it
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
They get together in a big group and they pretend it's Christmas. Well, I don't think they pretend it. They put a Christmas tree
put a
up.
Christmas tree, yes.
It's a bit weird that, though,
Yeah.
Bri.
You just tend to
Where
think,
do they get it from a start?
well, bring it out from the garden or something. I don't know. Where
I
would you
want to
get
bring
it?
it out from the garden.
Yeah,
will they?
yeah. I've got a Christmas tree in the garden from Christmas. It's all dead, Or maybe it's just an artificial
I think
tree.
it's just an artificial one.
It might well be.
But I do love the idea, and I'm going to do it tonight because it's Sonny's birthday. It's the 21st of June tonight, like I just said, and it's our son's birthday. So tonight, we are going to embrace both Matariki
Yes.
and that tradition of just celebrating and going out under the stars. I'm going to look under the stars. We're going to get in the spa and we're just going to share. We're going to get a takeaway. I know it's not like, traditionally, I know I should be cooking something or, we should be doing something better than that. But,
Yeah, but it's
know-
most of our family's away at the moment.
Yeah.
There's Sonny's girlfriend's down in Christchurch and Tess down
And
in
we've
Wellington.
got him all to ourselves
Yeah,
because
so-
his girlfriend's in Christchurch. So we've got him all to ourselves. So we just said, let's just really celebrate it in the way that, for a start, that the Māori celebrate.
I'm going to get my
just-
iPad out tonight and go and find out where Matariki is
Yeah.
because there's another name. Is it Piraeus or something like that? Is the
European name.
How do you pronounce that?
I don't know.
That's Greek, isn't it?
Pleiades?
Pleiades.
Pleiades?
Pleiades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what though, Bri? And
What?
also, this is what I'm a little bit angry about this because what they're doing around the world, they're claiming the Matariki stars as their own. So,
right.
all the old Europeans, they're our Greek stars. We know they're our stars. Japanese, no, they're our stars.
Yeah.
They belong to us.
Well, everyone is like
No, Bri.
Yeah.
They can't do that.
Yeah, but can you see
belongs to the god of the wind.
Well, obviously in Taranaki, yes, it does because it's always windy here, so obviously lives here.
I just think it's funny how people just have their own.
Yeah, but that's what life is, isn't it?
I remember when I was a kid, there was a certain star, and I always called it Mark's star because a person in our family passed away, but it was always like that star represented that person,
Yeah.
and you just think how many other people in the world look up at that star and think, no, that's my star, that's what it means to you, isn't it?
When because Orion in the Northern Hemisphere, you don't tend to see it in the summer because it drops too low, but in the winter, and I can just remember, used to, on a cold night, you'd be looking up at the stars and always see Orion's belt.
Yeah.
And then you move to New Zealand, and guess what? It's upside down.
Yeah.
Honestly, it is upside down because the archer is standing on his head. And people go, oh, no, it's
And
the
the
right
moon's
way. It's
upside down.
Yeah,
Did
moon's
you know
upside
that?
down as well.
Yeah, the moon in New Zealand is upside down compared to when you go back to
The
UK. It's the other way round.
Yeah.
How do you explain that?
Well, it is. It's like if you're standing on a football here and
Yeah.
then someone else is standing on a football here,
Yeah.
you're both looking at the same thing. It's going to be right way up, upside down, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't get it how it works, but I understand that when I look at it, it looks different.
Yeah, you have to go around
you go
about
like
here,
that and look underneath.
and then it's like you can see the man in the moon face.
Yeah.
A lot easier,
So how do you celebrate your midwinter celebrations? Are you going to be getting a Christmas tree and, pretending
let us know
that-
what you do.
Anyway, going back to the cafe, we were down the cafe the other day because I thought about this because the Māori like to share the bounty of the harvest with family and friends. And
Bit expensive these days, eh?
what?
Food.
No, they share the bounty. They just share
right.
whatever they've got.
Oh, right, everything.
Yeah,
All
it
right.
doesn't. Yeah, just share
Yeah.
everything. So here's a little story for you. So the other day, me and Bri go down the cafe, and a lady down there, she's a friend of ours, and she came over and had a chat, and her friend drove up alongside her, got out the car, and started to cross the road. And the lady goes, "Where are you going?" She said, "I'm just going over to buy a lotto ticket." And she said, this lady turned to me and she said, big rip off the lotto. Big rip off. It's
Big rip off.
She said, I'm not for it. It's all a waste of money.
It's taking money from people who haven't got much money with the hope that they might win. That's what she was getting around.
Yeah, she wasn't happy about
You know?
it. What do you think of the lotto?
Do you know? Yeah.
How much is it for a lotto ticket for a start?
I don't know. I don't know. Is
I
it
think it's
$1
not
or is it
cheap.
$5? Is
No.
it $10? I
think,
really don't know.
The more you
know?
pay, the more you play.
Well, there you go, Liz. you could get a little slogan out of that, couldn't you? Eh? Yeah.
Do you think lotto people want me to promote them?
Yeah, that's it. It's
Just
drama.
came off the top of my head, that, Brian.
Did it?
Yeah.
Wow.
It did.
The more you pay, the more you play.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying to you, is the more money you've got,
Yes.
the bigger chance you've got of winning, haven't you?
Yeah, but you have. But the odds are very, very low, aren't they? And
Well-
you know, it depends how happy you are in life. You know, if you think it's going to make you more happy, then
Oh,
then
let's see.
great.
I love this.
Do you know?
love this conversation. I do. I love it. Because this is the conversation we had with her down there. Because she said, I'm sorry. She said, if you won however many million, she said, it wouldn't make you happy. And I'm like, I agreed with her because I didn't, I didn't want to, I tried to pretend, just make her like me even more. But I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. But inside I was thinking, no, you're not right. You're not right. Because I'm sorry, Bri. I'm sorry.
What?
If I won 15 million or
Yeah.
whatever on the lottery now,
Yeah.
of course I'm going to be happy.
Are you?
Yeah, bloody right I am. I'm going to be flipping delirious.
Are you?
Yes, I am.
Right.
What?
Well,
Why are you questioning me?
just say, well, so why don't you do the lottery ticket?
Because I haven't got $5 for a ticket.
Yeah.
Because it's a rip-off. No, do you know why? Because I'm one of these people that think I'm never going to win. There's no chance. You know?
No. Because the massive amount of money we make out of YouTube, I think it was $80 last.
Oh, shut up,
Last
Brian.
month,
Be
wasn't it?
quiet. Stop going on about that. Why don't you do the lottery?
Because YouTube doesn't pay me enough.
Why don't you do the lottery?
Do you know what? I just think why? Because I think what it was when, you know, you're starting out, you haven't got any money, you're struggling, you know, renovating houses or whatever it is, you know, it's literally beg, stealing and borrowing. But you'll go and spend
What did you steal?
lots of things from building sites. That looked nice in my house.
Now Lotto's not going to want me to sponsor them,
No,
are
there
they?
you
Now
go.
you just announced on YouTube that you used to
Tea
nick
leaf
things.
plumber. Yeah, only stuff that
No,
was
come
in
on
the
then.
skip.
So why don't you really do the Lotto?
But that's what I'm saying, because I never used to like I never liked the feeling of gambling.
No,
Do you know,
I'm not a
it's
gambler.
never been the great
No.
for me. You know, you can spend $5, $10, and you've got $10, £10, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then you're waiting for the Lotto show to come on, and you're watching it coming out, and you know, and you've got 3 numbers, and you're like, and it's just like, it's just not worth it. What's the point? You go up, down, up, down. Just
Yeah.
forget about it.
Yeah.
Get on with your
Yeah.
life.
Anyway,
Yeah.
what's the biggest lottery win? The biggest lotto win? I keep saying lottery. What's the biggest lotto win in New Zealand ever? What do you reckon?
Oh, I don't know. Sometimes when they have that, I don't know what it's called, a thunderball here, whatever it is, the one that rolls over and over.
Just answer the question.
I would say 200 million.
200 million?
I don't
No,
know. I
that's
don't
far
know.
too much.
Well, that's what you can win in America.
No, we're not America, are we? We haven't got 200
All right.
million in New Zealand to
10
give out on the lotto.
All right, $150.
Actually, I think it's capped. Is it capped? I think
really
it's
don't
capped,
know.
isn't it?
It's like,
The
why?
biggest win, Brian,
Yeah.
take the frown off your face.
But it's their
Imagine
money.
that you've
How
won.
can you cap it?
Imagine if you've won the money, right? Okay,
Yeah.
listen, the biggest win,
Yeah.
the biggest lotto win in New Zealand, right? $42 million.
Yeah.
Brian,
What?
42 million.
Yeah. Might buy a bag of potatoes
And you're
these
telling
days.
me, right?
Yeah.
You're telling me now, if someone just walked in the door now and went, Brian, can you just come here a minute,
Yeah.
please? And you went, yeah, well, I'm just doing, no, just come here. I want to tell you something.
Yeah.
Mate, you've just won 42 million on
Yeah.
that. What would you do?
I'd be like, thank you very much.
What would you do? This is what I don't understand. is when people say,
what would be the first
"Oh,
thing
it
you would
wouldn't-"
do? If
Well,
you,
for a start,
yeah.
I don't know.
Would you carry on doing your YouTube?
Yeah, Because imagine that, Bri. Imagine that. We could just put on the thumbnail, lotto winner
Yeah.
from Taranaki. Yes, I would carry on. But no, I can't get my head around when people say, oh, and it didn't make her happy. She wasn't happy. Because even if you're as miserable as sin, you've still got 40 million in the bank. So who cares? Bri. You know?
I know. I used to say my friends, used to do the lotto every sort of week, or the lottery. I keep trying to call it because that's what it was in the UK. And I used to say to them, "Why don't you just give me all the money that you spend, and then every now and then I'll drop you £100.
I know, but people who say that, they're just
that's how it works,
tight asses, aren't they?
But
they don't do the lotto.
You don't see many bookies riding bicycles, do you? Hey? That's what they used to say. Yeah.
No, my point isn't here. My point here isn't that, whether or not you should do the lotto or not. My point here is people who say, oh, I wouldn't make me happy. I know that they're lying. I know it, Bri.
I know
it.
The thing is, you hear the odd story where, it can change people's lives where, they had all these friends and everything, and then all of a sudden they've got stacks of money and they go and move, buy a new house, and they've got no friends left because all the friends they were working with, or, they can't...
You wouldn't need any friends.
You wouldn't need anyone, would you? Just counting.
Today I'm going to be counting my money.
I'll get it. Tomorrow I'm going to go to the bank, get it all out in
pennies, cents,
dollar notes, or whatever it is, pound coins, or whatever they are, dollar coins, and just count them out.
Anyway, so after we'd had this conversation with a woman down at the cafe, and she'd ranted a raving like Brian is now about how the lotto is just a big old rip-off, I thought, I'll do a little bit of research and I'll find out about the lotto in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And this ties in, and I thought it tied in nicely with the matariki thing that I was telling you earlier about how they like to share, Māori like to share their bounty with their family and friends. So this is a story that I'm going to tell you. Brian hasn't heard this.
Okay. About
a man, and these aren't my words, by the way. I'm going to read this. I got it from the Otago Daily Times. So whichever journalist wrote this, I owe this to them. These aren't my words. So in October 22, a man, let's call him Michael. He isn't really called Michael. From Porirua, his life was suddenly changed.
Right.
So he'd had a terrible year. He'd lost a loved one. And he was really feeling really, really down.
Right.
And this is the story of one man's generosity and gratitude to his community, right? So Michael says, I didn't own a home. And he'd just gone through losing someone close to him.
Right,
so you can imagine how he must have been feeling.
He's kind of very lonely then.
Yeah. He was living with his 2 adult children.
Oh, right.
And we didn't have much, says Michael. He worked for a non-profit childhood community. He worked for a non-profit in his childhood community.
Right.
A place where there was lots of social issues.
Okay.
And it was a job that he was endlessly passionate about. Michael said, I had a little bit of debt, the kids had jobs, and we were in a good position. We had a car, etc., but nothing to a luxurious degree. We never had enough money, not enough of it really to value.
Yeah.
But things were about to change. Sitting alone one evening on the couch, Michael, who kept his own regular lotto numbers, turned into that night's draw. As he watched,
tuned in. Right.
Tuned in, yeah. As he watched the colourful balls roll out of the gravity pick machine, his eyes grew wide. He says, I was like, I've won something here. He told his daughter to come over and read the numbers out to him. And as they read them, it became evident that he'd won. Michael said it was very emotional. There was lots of yelling and screaming at first. Imagine it, can't you?
It would have been amazing, wouldn't it?
Jumping up and down. But then he thought about the year that he'd gone through, and there was some tears, which emotions would just be like that,
wouldn't they?
Be all over
the place, wouldn't they? Yeah.
He says, what happened next was a whirlwind. He basically said to the kids, come on, let's go up to Auckland. So they went up there on the Friday and had a great weekend. Arriving at the lotto offices in Newmarket was pretty surreal for Michael, and he remembers feeling like a newly minted multi-millionaire. The receptionist says to him, how can I help you? And he says, I'm the winner from Porirua. Imagine that. Imagine that, right?
Porirua, put Porirua on the map.
I'm the winner. They just smiled, and from there, everyone at Lotto was really awesome. That weekend, Michael and his kids lived it up in Auckland. They stayed in a fancy hotel, they had beautiful meals, and they went out on shopping sprees. So it's making me smile just reading this. He says, I gave the kids a little bit of spending money and they went a little bit crazy. Imagine if we gave it to our kids. And we were all taking time to enjoy ourselves and take a breath. It took a long time for it to sink in, and we were just all amazed and dumbfounded. By the way, I'm paraphrasing here. This isn't what was written. I'm just trying to read the story.
To jump through it.
Yeah, to jump through it. So Michael had won 15 million. They could have continued partying it up, going up to Auckland, living all these parties with his 15 million, Brian. But Michael's story is different.
Water Peugeot.
Michael says, I gave half to my mate.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, that's what you've got to do.
Gave half to my mate.
Wow.
It was a promise he'd made long ago, even to the tune of $7.5 million he was determined to honour. I'm going to cry when I'm reading this. He was determined to honour. Michael says, we'd been friends for over 20 years. We'd worked together, took jobs. We'd had 2 jobs for a long time. And during the quiet night shifts, Michael and his mate would sit smoking cigarettes, dreaming and talking and laughing. They once said, if one of us wins the lotto, if either of us win, we'll always split it in half. Because that's the sort of thing you say, isn't it, when you're talking to your mate? You always say that,
you do.
I'll give you half if I win, just make sure. So when Michael came forward a decade later, his friend was in the midst of a lot of challenges, job-wise and health-wise, because he was earning good money and then suddenly his luck changed. And then Michael comes forward and gives his mate $7.5 million.
Wow.
Hey?
It's amazing.
Imagine that. Can you imagine that? Why am I not that guy's friend?
Mike, I was good friends with you, mate. We used to smoke lots of ciggies together.
So I just thought,
that's
one,
wonderful,
typical
isn't it?
Kiwi.
Yeah.
2, act of giving, Bri.
I know, but it's so much better to give, isn't it, than to receive.
Before I finish the story, let me just read this bit because I couldn't believe it when I read this. With the rest of Michael's winnings, he set up his children and he surprised his siblings one Christmas by playing a game of Secret Santa and hiding in the Secret Santa $250,000 in each secret. Oh, imagine that, Bri.
Hey, Liz, everyone needs a Michael in their life, don't they?
Yeah.
You know,
no
can't take it with you.
What's it called? Cracker?
Yeah.
No, you've got 250 grand that Michael's given you. So,
brilliant.
And he bought himself his home and he continues to work in his community. Michael, you don't know who we are, but we love you.
Can we come to Porirua, please, and meet you? Have a cup of tea with you and a
if ever you
ciggy.
need some friends, Michael, you know, me and Bri, we're here for you.
Always be there for you.
So I just thought that was a gorgeous story.
Oh, that's great, isn't it? That's great. I love things like that.
So do I.
That's even better than giving, money to in the McDonald's queue, isn't it? Like, to the person behind you.
Yeah. And going back to what you said, because that is your biggest fear, isn't it? Because if you won a load of money, and all of a sudden your mates were still working,
I know. It's like, isn't it better to share it like that? You know? Yeah. Wow. I don't know any lottery winners.
Do you know what I'd do though, Bri? I'd be like, no, I know I said I'd give you half.
Not quite. That's after I've spent all my money, and what's left, I'll give that to you.
I'm in half after you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Only for
that money we spent up in Auckland.
Oh, can you imagine that weekend? Can you imagine it?
Yeah, that would
going
have been great,
up there
wouldn't it?
and just
what a feeling!
Brilliant, wouldn't it, Brian?
You would. Wonder if he hired a car or went out and bought a new car.
I don't know, but just saying to your mate, and especially if he was down on his luck at the time, you'd be thinking, "Oh, mate, I'm going to just change your life," wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. He didn't just move away, Bri. He didn't just do a flip and go, I'm leaving New Zealand.
Yeah, but
see you, mate.
It's amazing that you'd stay in your community because people would sometimes look at you a bit weird, wouldn't they?
Like, but you'd have to, though, wouldn't you? You'd have to stay in your community because that's where, everything
your
is.
followers, yeah.
Oh, so do you like that story then?
Yeah, that was a good story, wasn't it?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So it just made me feel the whole thing about sharing and New Year and new starts and.
Hey, Liz, should we do the lotto tonight?
I think we should. Yeah, I think that's a sign that we should do it.
Go and do the lotto.
Yeah.
Yeah, and film it.
Yeah. So, was there anything else you want to talk about? Because that was my big story, that, Bri.
That is the big story.
I was so excited about that.
I was going to talk about the road closure, but...
What road closure?
The road closure around Paratutu.
Oh, Paratutu. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's
Should we just
weird,
tell them
isn't
that
it?
before we go?
Yeah, well, it's the Kiwi sort of rite of passage is to, get your old Holden or your Skyline out or whatever it is and, do donuts on the road and stuff like that. And
What do you mean, rite of passage? What do you mean?
well, it's what most sort of young chappies do with lots of testosterone, and there's lots of young women do it nowadays as well. Like, you know,
Even women do it
even
too.
women
Drive
behind
cars.
a wheel. Women, know your place.
So what's your point? Come on, no, what's your point?
Who's that? Harry Enfield, wasn't it? Well, what the point is that it's the first time I've ever seen this in New Zealand, that there's a big sign there, and it says this road is closed to all vehicles from 11 p.m. Is it, or something like that?
So basically, you need to know this road is the most beautiful stretch. This is why it's a bit of a shame, actually, because it's the most beautiful stretch of coastline. Coast road. It hugs the coast.
Well, it's on a national park. It's the actual. Is it called a national park or it's a reserve? That's it.
And
the whole back beach and Sugarloaf Islands. They're all a reserve. So it's kind of weird because one side there's where they store all the petrol and fuel and gas and everything.
And on the other is the sea.
And on the other side, this gorgeous backdrop of the ocean,
And it's a beautiful stretch of road, and it's just like long and windy. And like when you're coming home from a restaurant or whatever, or you've been out on a night and you're like, oh, let's go the coast road because you put the windows down and you can smell the sea. Well, now you can't because they've closed it because these young ruffians who you're saying...
You're ruffians?
Well, yeah, they are.
How do you know they're ruffians?
I do know the ruffians, actually, Brian.
We did, actually. We drove through one night. They basically...
They
commandeer the whole road.
Racing up and down.
Just lots of guys, lots of cars, all hats on sideways and backwards.
Well, there's ruffians for a start. Anyone who wears their hat
Anyone who does
backwards.
that, must be a bit weird. Unless you're
a bit rough.
unless you're in a SWAT team.
So, we were coming home one night and we had the kids in the back. This is like, they were older kids, they weren't little. This is a couple of years ago. I think we'd been to the theatre and they were just like, we couldn't get through. The road was just completely blocked.
The guys will come out and stop you because this guy's just about to do his donuts,
Yeah.
And he couldn't drive to save his life.
Something to talk. Or what?
He couldn't do his donuts, and he came by us, stopped.
How do you do a
and then
donut
gave
properly
us,
then, Brian?
Well,
you should have got out and shown them.
I couldn't in my front-wheel drive Peugeot.
But it gave Brian something to moan about because it was like, oh, what's going on here? And this shouldn't be happening. And,
I never said that.
You did?
I didn't.
What did you say then?
I said, look what these knobheads are doing.
But so now the council, they must have just had enough, or there've been complaints or whatever. I don't know who's complained, but they've closed the road off. So you can only drive along that stretch of road now if you're a resident, if you're an emergency vehicle, and if you're a heavy goods
vehicle going to get a load of fuel or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of weird because this lovely new sign, it must be, I think I did take a picture of it, so it's been turned around.
Yeah,
so,
by the ruffians.
You can't see it anymore.
Yeah.
And you just think, oh, well.
Yeah. And Brian's going on, they should have you've said this before, haven't you?
Yeah.
They should have like a stretch of road or a field or a car park or whatever.
I remember watching, it was either a Top Gear or it was a Grand Tour or something like that. And I think it was in Florida. There's a whole drag strip for them. So you can do what you want out of town. Not only that, they get to race the police. So any police cars that were not commandeered, but confiscated from criminals, the police would then race the other guys, and it was like your chance to race against a police car or whatever it was, souped up car and this, that, and the other.
Don't you think, though, Brian, this is what I think, don't you think that once someone says, like, OK, you're allowed to do it here, all the fun goes out of it? The whole fun is that you're doing it somewhere that you shouldn't be.
But you see what the mess they make of the road. It destroys.
See, I told you you get angry.
No, I'm just saying it destroys the road because it's only like what they call tar seal with a bit of gravel thrown on it. So you don't really want to be doing donuts on that type of tarmac anyway because it's not the right type of tarmac.
Yeah.
You need the smooth stuff. Not only that, and then the other day you drive by and there's a burnt out car, and you're like, And I think that was obviously the final straw for the council. It's just like, this is just
It's
getting out of
Michael
hand.
burning his car that he had.
Yeah,
He's gone to buy a new one now.
or there's
I
like-
don't need this piece of crap anymore.
Yeah.
I've got my lottery money.
But yeah,
See a car.
yeah, I'm on the way to Auckland. I'll leave it there.
Yeah, exactly. Just dump it here.
Yeah. But or they'll just leave the tyres on the side of the road that have fallen off the car.
Oh,
so, anyway.
yeah. I
So
think-
clear up after yourself if you're going to do it.
Yeah, I think it just goes back to just having, like you say, just somewhere to go and something to do, and just this whole, I mean, it's a whole different topic, but I mean, you know, being allowed to drive quite young in New Zealand, maybe that is
I think what it
thing, I don't know.
is because you don't have an insurance here, you can get whatever size car you want.
Yeah,
And I think,
yeah.
you know, in most parts of Europe and everything, you know, the biggest car you're going to drive is like 1,000 cc's, you know, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know.
I think the truth is, Bri, you would like to be down on that
I
strip
was
with
one of
those
those
young
boys.
lads. Yeah.
I just
Well,
was,
you tell me
and
you were, but
yeah.
But
Yeah.
did you know?
Before I met you, Liz, eh?
Where you maybe for your 60th, Bri,
No.
get yourself a nice little go out in the Peugeot.
Yeah.
Get yourself a nice little cap on
Put it on
backwards.
sideways.
Go down with the hooligans.
Yeah, get
and
some-
have a little bit
get some
of
rap
a race.
music going.
Yeah, have
Yeah.
a little bit of a
Yeah.
race. Oh, anyway, so that was that. It was
Take
just
the air filter out, make it sound a bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, cut the exhaust off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was that. So yeah, that's it. So tonight we're going to have a nice celebration. We're going to delve right into the Kiwi tradition and go, yep. And you know what? How bliss does it feel now? I always think this. It's getting lighter now, Bri.
That's it.
The summer's on its way now.
So the sun's out. Like,
It is.
yeah,
It's. I always think that. I'm always like, after the 21st of June, it's getting better and better and better in New
Yeah,
Zealand. It's
that's
getting
it.
lighter and lighter and lighter.
The earth is starting to twist in our
Yeah.
direction. Yeah.
And I always feel a little bit smug because I always feel
know.
like phoning the family up in England
Yeah,
and going,
how's
oh,
it
well.
feel? Even though we've got the whole of the summer to come yet. It's only the first day of summer.
Nights are closing in, eh?
Yeah. And they've had 2 weeks of hot weather in the UK, so it's like, oh, it's always like
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Sending you big love if you're over in the UK. I know we've got a lot of listeners over
Yes.
there, and you always leave such gorgeous comments.
Who was it who said they were up in the Lake District?
Yeah.
Santiago or something. Well, I can't remember.
It's having a really
right
nice time
yeah.
up there.
Yeah. No need to come to New Zealand because it's so hot here. It's like, yeah, for 2 weeks.
No, they're having a nice
I'm
time.
joking.
Yeah,
I know, it
no, they're
used to
having
be
a
nice.
great time.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's just nice to see you guys that you're getting some great weather over there.
Yeah,
because
makes a change.
When the sun is shining in England and the UK, whatever, it's the best.
I remember when Sonny was born, like we say, it was his birthday, and I remember it was so hot in the house. I think it was 32 degrees at night, and it was so hot, and it was just like, oh, ridiculous. But anyway.
Remember, if you're moving to New Zealand and you still haven't signed up for our free 5-day video guide, where we send out a video every day of some aspect of life in New Zealand. Me and Brian made those videos. They're absolutely free. They're little short videos that you get for 5 days. Then sign up for those. And on the 5th day, you get information about the community that we're always talking about,
Yep.
our private community where people get together who are moving to New Zealand.
Yeah,
So
it's
make sure you sign up
over
for that.
200 strong now, that community, and it's just great. We've got immigration advisors, we've got recruitment people in there, we've got pet relocation, we've got financial
Got 'em all, haven't we,
Forex
Brian? They're all
companies
there.
to
They're
move
all
your money
there.
for you and all that
Yeah,
stuff. And
yeah.
just the people who are living here, people are on the way, people are coming over in a year or two. Get in and join them and come to New Zealand.
It's a fantastic
Yeah, it is.
community.
Yeah.
But like I say, you can sign up for the videos absolutely free. They're all free. There's 5 days with them. So just sign up.
Yeah,
for
and if
those.
you're a tradie, they're just announced today that from, I think it's the 9th of October, you can now start to come in easier as a tradie, because we need tradies here to sort all after the storms and everything else.
Yeah.
To bolster up the workforce, because New Zealand is struggling with getting people to work.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
So there you go. Oh, and by the way, thank you if you've bought my book. I've just released a new book, The Travel Bog Diaries, where I talk about going around the world with Brian and the kids for a year. And if you have bought that book, thank you so much. I love you. You're amazing. And yes,
Yeah, don't
thank
forget to
you.
leave a review.
Yes, and yeah, if you
We'll
can
leave a link
review.
in the description for reviews. As
Yes,
well.
that's absolutely fantastic. So until next time, whatever you're doing for your midwinter's night, your celebration, obviously we'll be with you before Matariki, which is on the 14th of July. So, but whatever you're doing, do it happily, keep a big smile on your face, and we'll speak to you next time.
Yeah, so kia kaha, stay strong, kia u, stay true. And I'll be raising a glass to Matariki on my birthday, and all our YouTube fans, thank you very much.
Yeah, okay.
Take care.
Speak to you soon. Bye.
Here we are. 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to the It's a Drama podcast. I'm Liz.
And I'm Brian.
And this week we bring you this podcast on Midsummer's... God almighty.
You just can't take the breath out of you, can you?
Oh, right. Let's start again.
Right. So, it's funny. We'll put that on the end.
How do you know when you truly are a Kiwi? We have been living here for 14 years and only this week did we realise, oh my God, we are now true Kiwis.
It's not that they're not nice, Bri.
Yeah.
It's not that they're not nice. They're just flipping rude.
In this week's episode, we're going to share with you 4 Kiwi traits that if you do them, then that's it. You're accepted into the land of Kiwiism. So let's jump on in and find out what those 4 things are.